I am full of hope, because the situation is changing. The world is changing. The support for Israel is tanking everywhere.
Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to the Struggle Video News. There is no ceasefire. Mossab Abu Toha wrote a few days ago that Israel killed 100 in Gaza in one day. Among the victims were over 30 children, and among the victims were at least 4 entire families. Then Israel had the gall to declare that the ceasefire was on again. It fits the pattern of Israeli ceasefires, the ones in Lebanon. A ceasefire except when Israel wants to bomb. The New York Times said that only 200 aid trucks on average are getting into Gaza. That's just 1/3 the number agreed upon. Other trucks are entering destined for merchants. But how can people without jobs for 2 years buy anything? The genocide continues, but at a slower pace. Perhaps we should call it the ceasefire genocide. The outstanding film The Encampments was shown in Danbury at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation. The film showed what happened at Columbia University in the spring of '24, when students risked their academic careers for the sake of human rights. They were at risk because the Zionist lie machine went into overdrive to slander them for the crime of opposing genocide. After the showing was over, Jonathan Kuttab, the American Palestinian who's director of the Palestinian Christian group Friends of Sabeel North America, gave his reaction to the film. These are some of his remarks.
Those college university presidents who were called in before Congress, all they had to say is, look, we're a university, we believe in academic freedom. We don't have to agree with the ideas don't have to be good or bad or anti-Semitic, or all ideas are open. And I want to explain this a little bit by telling you an anecdote. I was the chairman of the board of Bethlehem Bible College, a conservative, evangelical Bible college. I mean, what more can you be? In Bethlehem. And I was asked to give the commencement speech. And in it, I told the students, I said, look, you're living under occupation. It's like 200 meters from here is the Israeli checkpoint. You're also living in a very conservative society. However, within these walls of Bethlehem Bible College, there is something called academic freedom. You are allowed to ask any questions, to study any idea, to consider other religions and philosophies, to question the existence of God, the truth of Scripture. Not only are you allowed, you're encouraged to examine all these things, and your professors will work with you, will pray with you, will discuss with you, because of academic freedom. It's a wonderful idea. Now, I was saying that in a Palestinian Bible college living under occupation. And to think that at Columbia and Harvard and Yale, people are not allowed to speak. People are questioned. People are saying, oh, is this anti-Semitic? Is this race? Of course. Even if it were, you should be allowed to discuss these ideas and probably laugh at them because they are ridiculous, and challenge them, because that's what you do in a college setting. Never mind. That's my comment on the issues that were raised by this movie. Very, very powerful movie and very moving, especially, I mean, the Hind Rajab is just amazing, amazing. I think it'll probably get the highest prizes. They said they had a 17-minute long standing ovation when they showed that film. Unbelievable. And I understand why. It's very powerful. Now, you may be wondering, well, what about this recent ceasefire? Is the situation over now? Israelis are saying, oh, now that it's finished, do you think they're going to stop the calls for ending the genocide and the calls for boycotting Israel and the calls for... No, it's not going to stop. Because obviously we're all happy to the extent that the bombs stopped, even though they didn't stop. They're still continuing. We are happy that some prisoners were released. There's another 10,000 still in Israeli jails, and nobody's talking about releasing them. There's nothing in the Trump plan about releasing them. We're happy if they allow the food in and stop the starvation, even though they're still using it, the leverage, how much we allow, how many tanks, when do we allow it, how many calories we will permit to come in. Nobody's really talking about solving the problem, really. They're just talking about how can we use the Arab and Muslim countries to sort of rule Gaza on behalf of Israel according to Israel's demands and requests, just the PA, the same the PA is doing in the West Bank. So we still have our work cut out for us. I think that point should be made very clear to everybody. But you know, even though I'm not very optimistic in the short term, I am full of hope. Because the situation is changing. The world is changing. The support for Israel is tanking everywhere, including among communities that used to be considered totally within Israel's little pocket. I'm talking about evangelical Christians. I'm talking about the American Jewish community. I'm talking even about politicians who are now reluctant to take money from AIPAC when they used to take it all the time. They still do, but they are realizing that there are some negative aspects to it. I'm talking about countries in Europe. Holland used to be so pro-Israeli and pro-Zionist, even more so than Germany. And 2 weekends ago, they had, what was it, 300,000 people in the streets. In Holland, in Amsterdam, a small town, about 1/3 of the whole city was out in the street protesting against Israel and against the genocide. And once you open people's eyes, you can close them again. Once people see the reality, you can't go back. The myths that were created and that used to be accepted about what happened in 48 with the Nakba, all of a sudden people are realizing what actually happened in 1948, which had been totally denied. Once people see genocide taking place in real time, they cannot be silent. They cannot accept it. I mean, in the United States, it's still a slow process, but it's happening, especially among the young people. But in Europe, it's all over the place. It's all over the place. For 70 years, they were told, why were you silent during the Holocaust? Don't tell me you didn't know. You should have known. And you should have done something. Well, in this case, why are we silent? You can't say you didn't know. You saw it. You see it every day. That's why Europe is up in arms. But the funny thing is, now there is a huge gap between what everybody knows and what the leaders will do. The top 1%. The top 1% in this country, in the universities, in the government, and in the churches. The top leadership is still reluctant. It's still afraid. It's still finding excuses. It's still avoiding the problem and not dealing with an ongoing genocide that's taking place, which has not stopped. And even if it were to stop tomorrow, there's still accountability to be done. There's still people that need to be brought to justice. There's still reparations to be made. There's still a right of return to be exercised. There's still a lot of healing to be done to people who are traumatized on both sides. There still needs to be a solution found that addresses the humanity of everyone concerned and that provides for the dignity of human beings. I'm telling you because, as a person who is very familiar with Israeli society today is unrecognizable, even to its friends. Today, Israeli society is so openly fascist, so openly, dare I say it, evil. When they see the world objecting to their actions, they say it's anti-Semitic. They hate us. They will also say, it's a new word. It's not a Hebrew word, but it's now part of the Israeli lexicon. It's so what? We're committing genocide? So what? The world hates us? So what? You violated international law? So what? As long as we can get away with it, we will. You tell us it's inhuman? So what? We can do it. We have power. That is scary, but it's also false. Because your sin will find you out. Eventually, the world sees what's happening, and eventually, things will be put to right. In a real way, the Palestine question has become the question of the whole world, the question of our humanity, the question of international law and what does it mean, the question of human rights and what do they mean, the question of how can we live in a world that is governed by pure power and force. And this also hooks back to what's happening in the United States. Our current president is undermining the very principles of an international order. What you told Zelensky the other day in the White House is you don't have any cards to play. As if to say, it only matters when you have power and cards to play. That's the only thing that counts. When he tells Canada or Greenland, we want to take it, or the Panama Canal, or Venezuela, he's basically saying, I will do what I want to do, what's in my interest, regardless of international law. International law means a lot. And if anybody tells you it doesn't, that it doesn't have any enforcement, doesn't have any teeth, they're wrong. International law has a mechanism for enforcement. It's just that many of the states are not willing to exercise that mechanism. And it's not just the American veto. because there are many things that individual states can do to enforce international law. And by and large they do, by the way. Believe it or not, in the last 70 years or so, international law has been respected. There's 194 countries, at least 2/3 of them have some kind of dispute with their neighbors over borders, over security, over history, over tradition, over economics, over whatever disputes. But it's very rare that they would actually try to resort to war to take over the territory of their neighbors.
We're happy to announce that Mahmoud Khalil will be joining us for the Courage Award ceremony, award given to Dr. Abu Safiya, who is jailed in Israeli dungeons. On the 22nd of November, which is a Saturday, it will be held in the afternoon. More details coming. The event will take place at the Palestine Museum, U.S., in Woodbridge, Connecticut. Note this massive rally in Jerusalem. Tens of thousands of ultra-Orthodox Jews opposing their inclusion in the IDF draft. Now they're doing it for religious reasons, but anyone resisting that draft into that vicious army is welcome. The protest included this stream of people climbing up a construction crane. It reminds one of the time 4 years ago Nick Georges climbed a 300-foot construction crane in London to support Palestinians. Last week we mentioned the new film streaming on Netflix. It's called A House of Dynamite. The dynamite is nuclear. We emphasized that no president since Ronald Reagan has taken part in nuclear war drills, and told of the petition calling on Trump to take part in the nuclear war exercises in hopes that this would awaken him to the colossal dangers. This QR code goes to the petition. 2 developments. That movie, A House of Dynamite, dramatizes the fact that the missile defense program is a flop. The odds of missile defense shooting down an incoming nuclear-tipped ICBM is not much better than 50-50. The British paper The Independent reports that in an internal memo, the Pentagon refutes the film on this matter. It says the film is describing earlier prototypes and that today's interceptors have displayed a 100% accuracy rate in testing for more than a decade. Total BS. There have been 20 tests in 10 years with just 11 successes. And on October 30, as the president met with China's Xi, President Trump casually announced on his social media platform that, in his words, quote, because of other countries' testing programs, unquote, he's instructing the Department of War to resume nuclear testing. Now, Russia and China have not tested a nuclear weapon in decades. Perhaps he's talking about Putin's bragging about testing a nuclear-powered missile and a nuclear bomb carrying underwater drone. So Trump wants to test nuclear. On Democracy Now! On Thursday, October 30th, anti-nuke leader Ira Helfand spoke about how dangerous it would be to escalate the already vigorous nuclear arms race. He assumed Trump is talking about starting or restarting underground bomb testing. But who knows? Perhaps President Trump would like to test nukes in the atmosphere like they did in the 50s, spreading around all kinds of radioactive treats. I know, even thinking about the possibility of nuclear war is terrifying. But fighting together against nuclear war can actually calm you down. We close with some coverage of the No Kings rally in one Connecticut town, Bethel. Arriving at a small park where weekly protests take place, we found it had been taken over by Trump enthusiasts. Note the Charlie Kirk banner and the Trump is your daddy sign. The big green sign says that the No Kings rallies were financed by Indivisible and George Soros. The reference to Soros is usually an anti-Semitic slur. Note the Trump sign. Trump is your king. The right-wing rally looked impressive at first until you realized there were only about 25 people in the park. A few blocks away, some 1,200 people demonstrated for No Kings. We'll show a bit of the march that took 12 minutes to pass us by.
Follow me! No kings! No crowns! We will not back down! No kings! No crowns! We will not back down! No kings! No crowns! We will not back down! No kings! No crowns! We will not back down! No kings! No crowns! We will not back down! No kings! No crowns! We will not back down! No kings! No crowns! We will not back down! We will not back down! No kings! No crowns! We will not back down! No kings! No crowns! We will not back down! We will not back down! No kings! No crowns! We will not back down! No kings! No crowns! We will not back down! No kings! No crowns! We will not back down! No kings! No crowns! We will not back down! No kings! No crowns! We will not back down! No kings! We will not back down! No kings! No crowns! We will not back down! No crowns! We will not back down! No kings! No crowns! We will not back down! No kings! No
No king, no crowns. We will not back down. No king, no crowns.
The Bread and Puppet Theater ended its season with shows in Texas. We have a bit of its performance in New Haven in September, starting with its support for Palestine.
Represents the Palestinian people's perseverance, resistance, and the blood of their martyrs. We offer a dedication. We dedicate this show to our siblings in Gaza, who are being starved to death by the United States Congress of cowards, who steal the United States population's hard-earned money and use it to butcher the people of Gaza as they wait in line for fake food.
neighborhoods in northern Gaza. The death toll of the U.S. and Israel's genocide of the Palestinian people has reached 65,141 killed and 165,925 wounded.
And ending with its advice about ICE.